You with Jim Santel. Saturday mornings from 9 to 11.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us for the Todd
John and
Allbaugh
Gordy
Show. We have a little
Good
less than a
morning,
minute
Joe.
before we
How you
begin.
doing, guys?
Wednesday,
It's always
March
good to know,
19th.
what kind of geopolitical nonsense is going on. Trump, of course, is asking the Danish Egg Association if they would ship some of their eggs to the U.S. because of the surging egg prices that we have. Trump.
Isn't that shocking?
30 seconds.
Thank you. What the ball?
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with our producer and engineer, the fantastic Mr. Aaron Zommers, on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 12 noon on this Wednesday, March 19th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite, and it is
Hump Day!
There you go. We have reached the middle of the week, Mr. Zommers. Overcast skies, precipitation coming down here in downtown Madison at the world headquarters. And so far, Zommers, only in the form of snow. There we are, a little look outside at the street cam, nicely done. The pavement is wet. We see a couple of bikers there, get a little damp as well. But use your umbrella today if you're going to be in downtown Madison or most of Wisconsin, as a matter of fact. Weather forecast, in all seriousness, it's going to get a little dicey for particularly people in the Chippewa Valley area down to La Crosse. Those areas could see maybe 6 inches of snow before it's all said and done tomorrow morning. And then also south of Madison towards kind of between Madison and, say, Waukesha area, those places could pick up maybe 4 to 6 inches of snow as well, in between lesser amounts. But there's going to be this transition. About an hour ago, or maybe 2 hours ago, thunderstorms moved through the Madison area here in south central Wisconsin. As a matter of fact, reports that an apartment on the far west side of Madison was struck by lightning. Madison firefighters were there quickly, and it appears by pictures I've seen online, maybe to the one unit where the lightning struck right above the roof, but otherwise firefighters were able to put it out quickly and no major damage to the entire structure there. But so we're going to see thunderstorms today in parts of Wisconsin, and then, slush, ice, and then snow by tomorrow morning. In other words, welcome to spring in Wisconsin on this March 19th. But if you have travel plans for later today into tomorrow, might want to rethink them or allow some extra time as roads will get dicey across the state of Wisconsin. Keep it tuned here. Our Civic Media weather team will keep us apprised of changing weather conditions as we head through the next 24 hours or so. Dave in New Berlin checking in. Toddster, good afternoon, sir. Well, Davester, good afternoon to you in beautiful New Berlin. How are you this afternoon, Mr. Sommers?
I'm doing well on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's a little rainy. It's a little overcast, so I'm a little low energy.
Low energy, as Trump called Jeb Bush one time. But you do have your beer, cheese, and Green Bay and radio shirt on, beautifully done, with WGBW on the back. A great shirt. If our listeners would like that type of merch, as they say, merchandise, head on over to our website at civicmedia.us. Go to the, so I always forget, is it shop or merch?
Store.
Neither one is store. And you can purchase these and many other fine items. He is beyond priceless to us. He joins us every Wednesday from our nation's capital, a former Republican like myself, a River Falls native, and now a senior advisor at the Lincoln Project. Mr. Trygve Olsen joins us on a Wednesday. Trygve, how the heck are you?
Where's Pat?
Well, I was getting to that. He's had it with you, quite frankly. After all the insults with his age, he has said, I'm out of here. I'm gone. No. He so
No.
for people that regularly listen to this show, Up North News Radio is a separate entity than Civic. It airs on Civic, and we consider Pat a part of the Civic Media team, but it's actually produced by the Courier News Service. And so now apparently the Courier News folks have decided on a weekly meeting at noon on Wednesdays. So he's going to see how it goes, and he may be able to join us for the end of the show at 10 till every Wednesday. And so that'd be a nice way to wrap it up with a Pat Kreitlow happy ending. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But if it doesn't work out, then he may have to change days. We don't know.
If Pat's moving, I'm moving too.
Oh, but see, Kreitlow's going to mess up our whole week now.
No, I'm just.
He said.
But I miss Pat.
He said, in all fairness, this morning, he told me, he said, I would really miss the banter with Trigby every week.
I know. Well, maybe I'll have to come on when Pat's on too.
All right. You're always welcome. You're always welcome. How's the weather?
I'm not always welcome everywhere. It's nice to be welcome somewhere.
You're always
this is like
welcome here.
This is like the Cheers bar, and I'm Norm.
That's pretty good. Mm-hmm. How's your week been, Trigby?
My week has been pretty good. It's
Yep.
allergy season out here.
Oh,
I never had the allergies until I moved to DC, and the cherry blossoms come out, and Trigby starts to not.
And that's
feels
happening
so great.
earlier and earlier, right? It's happening earlier and earlier
It
now
is.
with
Yeah.
climate change and all that sort of thing. So.
All it takes is like 2 70-degree days, and Trigby's sick as a dog for like
Well,
about
thank
3
you
weeks.
for drinking the electrolytes and coming on. We always appreciate you.
We don't have those in Wisconsin. I say that to people all the time. I never had allergies in Wisconsin.
Really?
No.
Glad you hear it. Lots to banter around today, Trigby. Well, do you do NCAA brackets? Are you a bracket guy during this time
I
of
know
year?
absolutely nothing about
Really?
college basketball.
As
Zero.
much of a football fan as you are, you and Zommers are alike in this.
What I do know
Yeah,
about college
I could
basketball
care less.
infuriates me.
I know he doesn't like the
No,
old
I
regional
don't.
things.
I could care less.
I have filled out my my bracket here. I will divulge later in the show. I'm already regretting some of my picks, but anyway, they're locked
Have
in
they
now
started
in the-
playing? Did they start playing today?
The first four, there was a couple of games for the first four last night, and there are a couple more today, and then tomorrow the entire tournament gets underway. The Wisconsin Badgers, speaking of, play tomorrow in Denver in their first round game against the Montana Grizzlies. The pregame show will start around 11:30 with the tip-off around 12:30 in the afternoon. Glad you're on today, Trigby, because I imagine our listenership will be very, very low tomorrow. In fact, I'm not sure if I'll be listening.
Right.
It happened.
Did you see this thing that I did hear this when I was coming home from hockey? I had ESPN on that the governor of West Virginia is suing the NCAA over
Yes.
them not getting in and North Carolina getting in.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
the head of the selection committee or something is the president of the University of North Carolina.
Yes,
Like,
it's true.
They
That's
didn't
100%
belong
true.
in. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was the argument, I think, before everything started, but they played last night in one of these first four games against San Diego State, and I watched the first half of it before I passed out in my chair and went to bed. But San Diego State lost to North Carolina by almost 30 points last night. So North Carolina pounded them. It wasn't even close. So I'm not sure. Maybe North Carolina does deserve to get in, but yeah, that's true. West Virginia very salty about not getting in.
Oh yeah, and apparently that guy sued when he was attorney general, the NCAA and won previously.
Really?
Like there's a whole history there. Yeah.
I did not know that. All right. Phone lines are already lighting up for Trigby. We always appreciate that. 855-752-4842. Go to the North Woods. And Ollie in the North Woods. Ollie, first of all, before you get to your question, do you have snow up there in the North Woods yet?
Oh, not yet. It's pretty gloomy looking, but so far, no snow, and I've got my fingers and toes crossed there won't be.
All right. Very good. Very good. What'd you have for us today, Ollie?
Well, mine's kind of a little lengthy. because your slogan is pursuing the truth wherever it may lead,
Yes.
I would like to suggest a new segment for your program called Is It the Truth, where people could call in and find out if things that they've heard over the radio and here and there is actually the truth. And my question today is Is It the Truth is for Trigby. I heard that Elon Musk was installing Starlink in the White House, and I'd like to know if this is the truth, because then he will have link to all the information coming and going from the White House.
That's that's a great suggestion for a segment. I really appreciate that, Ollie. We'll take a look at that. B, I do not know the answer to that, Trigby. Do you know a real answer to that?
The New York Times says that is in fact happening. So if the New York Times is reporting that that's happening, I would say it is probably happening, yes.
All right. Well, there you go. According to the New York Times, Ollie, that is the truth. So Starlink is apparently, according to the New York Times, now linked up to the White House, which Trigby goes to. We saw this in Trump first term, where he refused to give up his personal cell phone and take a Secret Service phone. You've had more experience with this at higher levels than I ever have. But to protect national security, to protect the president, him or herself, whether it's George W. Bush or Barack Obama, they have given up their personal cell phone and used a government-issued cell phone through the Secret Service simply to protect national security. Is that not the truth?
Yeah. So yes, I believe that's the case. So it's interesting here. What I just read in that New York Times piece is that this is not something that went through the normal process, though, at all.
Right.
Basically,
just like
some
Trump
guy
keeping his
who
phone.
works for Doge, who also works for Elon Musk's Starlink company, went up on the roof of the Eisenhower office building and started installing Starlink.
Yeah, he triggered alarms.
That's nuts. Okay, yep. It is true, but there is circumstance. It's always about the circumstance. I would guess this raises all kinds of national security questions. That
I mean, there's a lot of national
is
security questions. these days.
probably part of it. Yeah. There's good reason why there's typically a process for this stuff. But
Yeah, and we like I said, we saw this in the first term where Trump was, just talking on everyday cell phone that any of us would get from Verizon or any place else with no kind of security blocks in it, and now we have Starlink that is linked up apparently directly to the old White House with no security.
yeah, I mean, the bigger thing for people who are listening, as you know, Todd, I've spent a lot of time around the world working in various places. I think most people get that there are people that are nefarious and want to do harm to the United States of America or take what we have. And the reality is that a lot of these processes, some of them might seem ridiculous, but most of them, and sometimes when you're inside, they seem really ridiculous. But the truth of the matter is that they're set up for good reasons, which is ultimately to protect the people in the United States.
Right.
And so these guys they're either really naive or they're just plain dumb.
Speaking of dumb ideas, we'll talk about Brad Schimmel and the Wisconsin State Supreme Court race. New news via the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. We'll discuss that more with Trigby Olson, the Lincoln Project, your phone calls as well. This is the Todd Allbaugh Show, and you're listening to the Civic Media Radio Network.
Great
That's
conversation.
crazy.
92.7 WMD.
Yeah, I guess
Pretty nuts.
they did have permission from the Secret Service to go on the roof to check, but the permission was like, hey, can we do this? They're like, yeah, let's figure out a time. And he's like, okay, just walks up there and then sets off alarms.
Anybody got a drill?
Basically.
Still putting off that deep
It's like,
clean.
no, that's not how this
HS
works.
Pristine clean. Take it off your to-do
But,
list.
it's okay
With over
because
20 years
Starlink
of meticulous
donated the
cleaning
internet
experience,
service.
Right,
They make your
right.
home sparkle without the hassle. Call 920-932.
We got this thing on Schimmel trying to again dig up that the last election had problems with it 2 weeks before the Supreme Court election. We got Elon Musk shutting down parts of the Department of Commerce Department, which will affect Wisconsin broadband.
Just being Elon.
Yeah.
You know that thing. Did you talk about the thing with the tariffs?
Which one? There's just a lot
that I sent you about how much impact.
Oh
they have on
no!
people in
Thank you. Yes,
Wisconsin.
no, I was saving it for you for today.
The signature
Good.
matching rule, claiming that the lack of handwriting standards and the inconsistent science.
It's just like which one this hour, you know?
Of 4,500 Hispanic ballots in the 2020 primary and 36,000 ballots from all voters in the 2022 midterms. In the court's recent opinion, Justice Stephen C. Gonzalez acknowledged those rejections. All too many ballots.
All right, let's start with the Supreme Court, and then we'll go to the tariffs.
Cannot verify the voter's signatures, and the voter does not or cannot cure their ballot in time. But the court found no bias, evidence of partisan malfeasance, or that voters were intentionally blocked from voting.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network on this Wednesday, March 19th, 2025. 21 now, past the hour of 12 noon. Trygve Olson, Senior Advisor, Lincoln Project, joins us today to discuss issues statewide, nationwide, and worldwide, as always on a Wednesday. Always appreciate him stopping by. Trygve, I want to get to this story in part. We are now less than 2 weeks away from the general election here in Wisconsin, the spring general election happening on April 1st. That's right, folks. No fooling. April 1st. Polls open that day at 7 a.m., open until 8 p.m. But remember, early voting, in-person early voting is on now. And so if you'd like to be an early voter, you can contact your local clerk or go into your local clerk's office and cast a ballot in person. You can check out where your polling place is or where you're registered or if you're registered by going to myvotewi.org.
myvote.wi.gov.
Geez, Todd. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Summers. myvote.wi.gov as in gov or government. Thank you, Summers. myvote.wi.gov. You can check your registration there. As we say, be a voter, have a plan to vote in this very important spring election. So the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel this morning, Trygve, story by Allison Durr, headline, 2 weeks before Wisconsin Supreme Court election, Schimmel raises Milwaukee vote counting trope. Going to read you a couple of paragraphs and we're going to get Trygve's take. It says, 2 weeks before Election Day, Wisconsin Supreme Court candidate Brad Schimmel on a conservative radio show raised the specter of, quote, bags of ballots, unquote, and the potential of fraud, his word, in Milwaukee elections. Despite the well-documented reason the city's absentee ballots are routinely reported late into the night after polls close. Schimmel said, quote, that's what we need to do, get our votes banked, make this too big to rig so we don't have to worry about that at 11:30 in Milwaukee. We're going to find bags of ballots that they forgot to put into the machines like they did in 2018 or in 2024 when U.S. Senate candidate Eric Hovde was ahead all night and then all of a sudden Milwaukee County changed that, unquote, Schimmel said on another station in Milwaukee. He said, I don't know what happened. I don't know if there's fraud there. There's no way for me to know all that. All I know is we need to turn our votes out. That's the best insulation we have against any potential fraud is to just get our people to the polls, unquote, according to Schimmel. Just after midnight on 2018, more than 47,000 absentee ballots from Milwaukee were added to the statewide total, giving Democrat Tony Evers his first solid lead in the race for governor against the incumbent Scott Walker. Evers eventually won, though the time the city reported its absentee ballots prompted criticism from the Republicans, including Walker. In the same race, Schimmel lost his bid for a second term in the Republican Attorney General's race. And it goes on from there. But Trygve, I want to get to the facts in this And the fact is, in Wisconsin, unlike other states, and there's been legislation to try to change this, my former boss, Scott Klug, on this program has called for the Republican legislature to change this, which is in Wisconsin, local clerks are not allowed to open up absentee ballots and count them prior to the polls closing at 8 p.m. And so it takes a long time. Milwaukee happens to be the largest city in a municipality in the state. They have to do all this after it happens, and then they report it as soon as it happens. So there was also an audit here recently of the last election. We've gone through the 2020 election audit. There has been no evidence whatsoever that there was any major voting fraud in Wisconsin that would have changed the outcome of any election.
No, I mean, it's really disingenuous for him to be saying that. He knows all of that. It's I mean, as you were reading what he was saying, I was thinking this is a little bit like when there was the bipartisan immigration compromise and it got whacked because they wanted to have the issue, right? Like, they know full well why the absentee ballots come in late in Milwaukee County. They all know that. But they want to be able to go on and with this narrative that if they win, you hear him talking about Eric Hovde. Eric Hovde lost because he had an undervote from Donald Trump's. But you don't hear him saying, well, Donald Trump, we're not sure.
Right.
Right? He knows that. He knows that. And the reality is he's using that because he wants to have an issue to rile people up. And if he loses, it's not because his ideas were worse. It's because the other side cheated. But if he wins, oh, by the way, it's because our ideas are great. It's really disingenuous. It's shameful, really, because it goes at the heart of undermining what our democracy is really about. But to be honest, I don't think people like Brad Schimmel, if as a person, he's just a guy who wants to be. It's not about doing anything. He just wants to be somebody. And I bet wherever it was, where did he go to high school again? It was like, we had that. Wherever he went, if we had people who've known Schimmel his whole life who speak honestly, they'd say, he's the guy that you go to high school with who, was campaigning to be most likely to succeed.
Right.
Right. Wanted that in the yearbook. Right. I mean, he's the guy who went to Badger Boys State and was running for attorney general. Oh, no, wait. That's Scott Walker. He was running for governor.
That's the other guy, yeah.
It's the other guy. They're pretty much the same guy, actually, if you want to know the truth at the end of the day. And to be honest, they're the guys who think that this, and here's the sad part. The people he's talking to on those talk radio shows, he actually thinks they're idiots.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He thinks he's smarter than them.
Right,
he thinks he's clever, more clever than they are, because they're all buying his BS.
100%.
Oh, Brad Schimmel, right? That's what BS.
Oh yeah.
I think you nailed it there, Trigby. And we got about a minute here before the break, and with Pam Yonke and the Ag Report. But when we come back, I want you to pick up on something that you said there, which is they're doing this to gin up and turn out their base in the Supreme Court election. And a guy that you know very well, Joe Hendrick, a former legislator, Republican legislator, who's known as a numbers guy. And he published something this week. And I want you to talk about this because you've had a lot of experience about this as well. And it's a little contradictory to what people may think, in that in past elections, people have said, well, if there's a high turnout, that helps Democrats. Joe Hendrick is suggesting that a high turnout in this election for Supreme Court may, in fact, help Republicans, especially in western Wisconsin, where it could make the difference. And on the other side, we'll tell you why and get Trigby's take. Don't go anywhere. Agricultural update right now with Pam Yonke. Whether it's sports, we're back after this. It's the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Conversation 92.7 WMDX.
Good. That was great.
Enjoying this local program?
Muchas gracias. So we'll come back. We'll finish up on this, and we'll go to tariffs.
The Civic Media app.
Go to what?
Go to
When you walk
tariffs.
through a grocery
Your
store,
thing you
you
said.
see all
Oh, yeah,
different
the
kinds of
tariff
meats.
thing, yeah.
A lot of them package rather similarly, but what may not be similar is the price. I'm Ben Jarbo with the Midwest Farm Report, and John Heinberg, a market advisor with Total Farm Marketing out of West Bend, is here to give an inside look at why there may be that price differential based on the type of meat.
The pork side of it has still been fairly good. Again, we're seeing carcass values up around that $100 carcass area, and of which then, the packer breaks that down into different cuts, and that's what gets to the grocery store. So there's some decent value there. The hog market hasn't been pushing out to historic highs. So we're not really hearing that in the other industries so much, because the cattle industry is, one of those industries still has a lot of regional packers or small packers that just cover an area, as compared to where the pork industry has maybe gotten to the more national scale.
As Heinberg was saying, the pork industry being able to find larger processors has helped them keep the price down in the stores. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Ben Jarbo, and we'll take a look at those midday markets right after this.
When it's time to choose a residual herbicide for your soybeans, you need broad-spectrum weed control that lasts. Zidua Pro and Zidua SC herbicides by BASF give your crop up to 2 more weeks of residual weed control, providing 50% more control than other Group 15 residuals. The long-lasting herbicide portfolio protects your soybeans from even the toughest weeds while providing a steady growing environment for the entire season. Talk to your retailer today about adding Zidua Pro and Zidua SC herbicides to your 2025 plan. Always read and follow label directions.
$1 billion. That's how much equipment is stolen from U.S. construction sites every year. These thieves are stalling projects, hurting Wisconsin's family-owned businesses, and driving up costs for everyone. Judge Brad Schimmel takes theft seriously. He holds criminals accountable and protects the people who are just trying to do their jobs.
Schimmel holds
Call
people
Judge
accountable.
Schimmel and thank him for protecting us.
But not
Paid for
himself
by the
or
Associated
rapists.
Builders and Contractors of Wisconsin.
Welcome back. I'm Ben Jarbo with the Midwest Farm Report. Now let's see how the markets are moving midday on a Wednesday. Currently, it's a slight mix as cash corn is up 2 3/4 at 461.5, with new crop corn down 3/4 at 453.5. Cash soybeans are down 3 at 1009 3/4, with new crop soybeans down 4 1/4 at 1011 1/4. May wheat contracts are down 2 1/4 at 562 3/4. And July wheat contracts are also down 2 1/4 at 579 3/4. Class 3 milk is mixed as April contracts are down 2 cents at 16.94 a hundredweight, and May contracts are up 6 cents at 17.11 a hundredweight. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Ben Jarbo.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
Showers and some thunderstorms today, with high temperatures tapping 40 degrees and winds whipping. They'll be gusting up to 40 miles per hour, prompting a wind advisory tonight. Early this evening, rain switches over to sleet and then to all snow. And accumulations look to be anywhere from 2 to 5 inches. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 35.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
Former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, he would not be
Hey,
negotiating
Todd, check out
with
this
the
graph.
GOP if he was
Number
Wisconsin's
of
sitting
arrests
senator.
attributable to Doge uncovering actual fraud within the federal government. Oh, 0.
Yes, it's a flat line going from January up to February up to March 16th, and it's just a red line that stays at 0.
Not
That's
something
funny.
I want to be involved in.
The Maggie Dawn Show. Weekdays from 2 till 4 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app.
Did you know VA home loans are a key to home ownership for those who served?
In the military, we make a lot of sacrifices, and with the VA loan, it makes it easier for us to get a home.
We were able to purchase this home and then use the money that we were going to use as a down to actually fix up the home. I would tell anybody who is interested in getting a VA loan to just do it.
To learn more about VA home loans, visit va.gov/.
Here I go again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known, like a drifter
Whether it's taking on authoritarians in Eastern Europe, or our former party here in Wisconsin, or just that fellow hockey player that ticks him off, Trygve Olsen, never afraid to go it alone. Always here with us on Wednesday afternoons. Always appreciate that. Senior advisor now at the Lincoln Project. Trygve, thanks for being here before the break. Talking about this Wisconsin Supreme Court race coming up on April 1st. The conservative candidate, or at least that's what he calls himself, Brad Schimmel, raising this trope, as they say in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel today, about elections in Wisconsin. Say, where did all these ballots come from in Milwaukee after midnight? Well, it's because the Republican legislature won't change the law to allow local clerks to begin processing ballots, absentee ballots, before election closes, like in most other states. And so local clerks have to wait to open up and start processing these ballots until the polls close at 8 o'clock. Milwaukee is the largest municipality, and that's why it takes time to accurately count these ballots. And in every audit that has been done by both, if you remember last election in 2024, on election day, there was a report that one voting machine in Milwaukee County somewhere, a door wasn't quite latched right. And Ron Johnson himself, with his cadre of minions, went down to inspect it himself. And even Ron Johnson came away and said, okay, it was an innocent mistake. They fixed it really quick, and there's no problem here. But yet Brad Schimmel continues to put out these lies and insinuations, and Trygve made the point that part of this is to gin up the base, Trygve.
Well, it's all about ginning up the base. But the truth of the matter is that, as I said before, he's playing them for idiots. Because that's the guy I'm sure that's the guy he is. I mean, if somebody went to high school with Brad Schimmel, call up. Was he I'm sure that's the guy he was. We all know that guy. Everybody knows that guy.
Everybody knows a guy like that in their community. I want to go to another 100%. guy that we've known over the years, Joe Handrick, former Republican legislator from Northern
Joe
Wisconsin.
Is not that guy, by the way.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying another
Joe's
guy we know. No,
Joe's a great guy.
Yeah. Thank
Joe's the guy you want at the bar in Minocqua having a beer with you.
Right. There's a piece he wrote for DairylandSentinel.com entitled "How the Spring Electorate Differences Impact Conservative Candidates Vote Targeting." Let me say that again and not screw it up. How the vote electorate differences impact conservative candidates' vote targeting. I'm not going to go into all the nuances here, into the weeds. This is for guys like Trygve and I who, really like to parse this out. But what Joe did is he divided the state, and the western part in his analysis includes what Trygve and I would call the old 3rd District Congressional District, from St. Croix County, where Trygve was born, all the way down along the Mississippi River to the Wisconsin-Illinois border in Grant County, and then basically swings to the eastern side, Richland Center, where I was born, and then up through Monroe County and including Eau Claire. And then the northern part of it is roughly Highway 8, east to west. Then it goes over to another part of it in northeastern Wisconsin, which is the Green Bay, Door County area, central Wisconsin, Wausau and the surrounding areas, south central, which includes Madison down to the Illinois line, southeast Wisconsin, which is kind of not quite Rock County, but includes Kenosha and Racine. Then you've got Milwaukee County proper and the Wow counties. And the argument that Joe Handrick makes, and he looked at Trump numbers, he looked at Brian Hagedorn, of course, who is a conservative who is still on the Supreme Court, and he broke down all these numbers. And I'm going to skip down to kind of his bottom line analysis. And Trygve, I want your take on this. And again, this is not necessarily my take or my words, but a person who knows the numbers pretty well. And Joe Handrick writes this, quote, "For a victory on April 1st, I believe Schimmel's numbers will need to be closer to Trump in the West than they are to Hagedorn. If I'm Schimmel, I'm asking how I can attract Trump voters who live in the western tier of counties, particularly those lower propensity Trump voters who voted in November but typically will not vote in April. The answer lies in understanding what the issues were that drove Western Wisconsin away from Democrats and toward Trump. immigration, and boys playing in girls' sports. Painting Crawford as quote-unquote soft on crime is a good issue, and he claims it certainly is true, but but is that the issue that will bring out Trump voters in Vernon County, which is in far southwestern Wisconsin? I'm not so sure it is, Hendrick writes, especially considering that Crawford is spending millions claiming Schimmel coddles bad guys too. Trigby Olson, what's your analysis of that?
I think he's right. I mean, to a degree. And here's the thing: like Joe is the best there is when it comes to Wisconsin numbers, and always has been, even when we were kids back, long ago. Todd, you know that too.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to argue with him on the numbers because I'll lose. And I'm pretty good with numbers in terms of votes too.
Yeah.
But I think he's right to a point as it relates to so if you look at everybody who votes in April elections, right, then you're looking at who else can you get into the fray, right? And I think he is right that that in Western Wisconsin, assuming it's a close race, that's where it's going to be decided. And in a place like Vernon County, it's about those low propensity Trump voters getting to turn out. They typically turn out, as he's making the point, around cultural issues. I'm not sure Schimmel is making that directly of a case, although he is trying to disqualify her on some of those, right? Like he is playing a little bit of that. And you have Elon Musk's PAC is trying to make this all about a referendum for Donald Trump. So they are trying. Like, I think they get that they want to turn them out. Quite frankly, I think his whole Brad Schimmel BS about, and in fact, that should be a thing. Brad Schimmel, more BS. His BS about, Milwaukee County, same thing is trying. Now, where I disagree with Joe, although he's right on this too, but I kind of disagree with him. The next most likely to turn out and vote, which is what her campaign is trying to do, is, college students and younger women in sort of, it's the counties with the colleges. So it's Eau Claire County, it's La Crosse County, it's Pierce County. They're even less likely to show up and vote. They voted for Protasevich in a big way because that was a referendum on reproductive choice. I'm not sure that issue resonates as much as it did either, which the bigger part of Joe's point might just be both of these campaigns are just a little bit off on messaging. And he might be right about that in terms of the voters that may decide this thing. So,
right. And one of the bigger picture points he makes in this article is that typically higher turnouts have meant good news for Democrats, but he's making the argument that particularly in Dane County, the fastest growing county in Wisconsin, much more Democratic leaning, that they're going to be there no matter what. And he's making the point that this race for Supreme Court is going to be won or lost by high turnout of likely Trump voters across the state, but particularly in Western Wisconsin.
Well, the first rule of Wisconsin politics is Dane and Milwaukee County need to be balanced out. But for Democrats, their margins have to be, for a race to be close, Republican margins have to be equal to or slightly greater than in the WOW counties and the Valley, Fox River Valley. So and I don't know the case on that. It's hard to say.
Tom, listening in Florida, says, quote, there is no, he gives us a quote from David Foster Wallace, a novelist, essayist, and a short story writer. Quote, there is no such thing as not voting. You either vote by voting or you vote by staying home and tacitly doubling the value for some diehards vote.
Yeah.
Well said. Let's go to the phone line.
Yeah, there's
quickly.
like a Rush lyric about that too.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
if you choose
Rush.
not to decide, you still have made a choice. From Free Will by Rush, my favorite song of theirs.
Wow, look at Zommers coming up with the trivia.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Well, that's not surprising because Rush was always thinking man's rock music, so the Zommers would be able to pull it out right away.
855-752-4842. Let's go quickly to prayer to sack. Mark, we're up against the clock. Mark, if you can make it brief, what do you have?
Yeah, I think in Wisconsin the abortion issue might be big, or reproductive rights issue might be big. I heard Kate Cox speak yesterday at the rally in Madison, and she's the young woman whose pregnancy had to be terminated, and the delays on actually getting treatment. That I won't go into the details of that, but actually led her to be not being able to have children. And this was a wanted pregnancy that she had, and she gave a very passionate speech on that to the people there. And I think, and for the whole bags of vote thing, let's remember back in the day when the Crawford-Prosser race, I think Kathy Nicholas took bags of votes home with her, and the seals were broken on those bags of ballots, and so that there wasn't the hue and cry back then. There was a little bit of one, but there wasn't the insistence that none of those ballots be counted, because who knows what happened, when those seals were broken. So I mean, this whole disingenuous of Brad Schimmel. BS Brad Schimmel, yes, it is. He's just full of it.
Appreciate it, Mark. Thank you so much. Yeah, again, audits on Wisconsin elections, we can have confidence in the results by all proper audits, and there's been no valid claims or proof of any sort of major ballot fraud in Wisconsin. 855-752-4842. Gene in Eau Claire, listening to WCFW, The Tap. Gene, what say you?
I got the receipts to support the theory of Western Wisconsin, and I'm in a rural area, and I have received 8 11x6 hard cardboard Americans for Prosperity, the AFP, that's a nonprofit organization, one a week. First, they start out with promoting their huge, colorful things, promoting Brad Schimmel, Supreme Court. He protects our communities, supports and defends the Constitution, puts partisanship aside, and both sides are Schimmel. Crossed his arms, looking in his nice suit. What a great guy he looks like. People don't know who he is around here. Standing up for safer communities. This is a different one. Rule of law, rights and freedoms, okay? Then we got another one, totally Brad Schimmel. Then they change. Right. Then they go to Schimmel. And then election day, for early voting, promoting early voting, March 18th.
Gene, we're up against the clock, Gene. I don't want to cut you off, though. I got the point. You're getting a lot of stuff up there, right? You're seeing it. So, I mean,
you know what she's saying about her is weak, aligned with progressive extremists, weak, endangering public safety, driving up costs, record of partisanship, and they're just nasty about her. But on the other side, it shows him. Anyway, thank you. Bye.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate it, Gene. I think that just Gene's call there. I mean, it shows. I mean, people in these important areas are just getting pounded every day with direct mail. Not to mention, I mean, you can't turn on an NCAA game right now, basketball game, and basically every ad is either for or against Schimmel or Crawford.
Yeah. Welcome to Wisconsin, Todd.
ground
really?
Zero, right?
Are you? Yeah. That's what life's like there. Where were you during the general election?
I know you were shocked. The point is, everybody should be a voter. I'll certainly be voting for Susan Crawford in this, but regardless, we want everybody to be a voter, have a plan to vote. Voting begins at 7 a.m. in person on election day proper until 8 p.m. Early voting in person is going on right now. Go to myvote.wi.gov, myvote.wi.gov, and be a voter in the April 1st election here coming up. Certainly important to the future of Wisconsin. Of course, the DPI Secretary's race, Department of Public Instruction, is on that as well. Referendums and local races as well. Lots of people fought and died for our right to go to the polling place each time it comes up, and we owe it to them to honor their sacrifice by being a voter. Going to come back, talk about tariffs. Trigby has some info on that. And Trigby, there's a sea perch tournament going on in Milwaukee. I'll tell you about that when we come back as well. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
We should probably play a little Free Will by Rush.
Yep, I'm just finding the right part.
He's dialing it up. Dialing it up.
Aren't we playing this or that today?
You want to stick around for 106? What's worse?
No, it's what's worse?
Well, it's not this or that. It's what's worse. The song is this or that because we couldn't find the song that had what's worse in it. Today's what's worse.
I don't know a song that's like that.
For those listening on the stream, watching on the stream, today's what's worse: trouble sleeping or trouble waking up.
Oh God, that's a good one for me.
It is a good one.
I struggle with both.
I know you do.
Oh, I don't know.
It's tough.
You want to stick around for a couple minutes?
Yeah, I'll stay for it.
All right.
Before the 2022 midterms, a state-commissioned audit found that younger voters, voters of color, and non-English speakers were far more likely to have their ballots rejected, and the rate of rejection varied by county. 2 recent lawsuits challenged the signature matching rule, claiming that the lack of handwriting standards and the inconsistent science for signature verification resulted in the rejection of 4,500 Hispanic ballots in the 2020 primary and 36,000 ballots.
What I don't
from
get,
all
Trigby,
voters in the
again, is
2022
just
midterms. In the court's recent opinion,
I don't get
Justice
why
Stephen C. Gonzalez
the
acknowledged
Democrats
those
don't go
rejections.
after. Well,
All
I guess
too
we
many
both know
ballots
it's
are not
blowback
counted
scores, but
because election
I
workers
just really
cannot
think that if they had
verify the voter
run
signatures,
ads going
and the
after
voters
Schimmel
not
on
or cannot cure the
pardoning
ballot in
January
time.
6th
But the court
cop
found no
killers,
bias.
that would have done better for him.
I would think so too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 20 seconds.
I would have rammed the Brad Schimmel's BS right up there, posterior.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 9 before the hour, 1 o'clock. Zommers, well done. What do you dial up there, my friend?
Free Will by Rush.
Very
like
good.
we mentioned.
Very good. Not voting is voting. Choosing
They're
to stay
Canadians too.
They are.
They are Canadians. Yeah, the group Rush. Yeah, don't be a voter. Nothing infuriates me more than people that complain about the results of an election. And I say, well, who'd you vote for? Well, I didn't vote. Well, then just be quiet. Really, I don't respect people who don't vote.
If you don't vote, don't complain.
As George W. Bush's former communication director in Texas and D.C., Karen Hughes, said in her great book called 10 Minutes from Normal. It's a great read just about people that work on political campaigns and how to communicate with people if you ever get a chance. She said, every election comes down to a choice, and perfect's not on the ballot. And she's so right.
It's true. It's a human endeavor. None of us are perfect.
As it turns out. Trivy, you sent me something this week on tariffs and the Trump tariffs that are going on and how this really impacts people in America, but also specifically in Wisconsin. Talk a little bit about this, please.
Yeah, so I saw this thing on Blue Sky. Mark Cuban had posted it. And this is fascinating. So it estimates the retaliatory tariffs. So the ones that are being placed on Canada in particular, I think in this case, it's how many jobs would be affected in each state. Wisconsin has the largest percentage of any state in the country of jobs that will be impacted at 10. Over 300,000 jobs will be negatively impacted by the tariffs in the state of Wisconsin. And here's the kicker.
Say that one more time. I want people to get this. Say that again.
10% of the jobs in the state of Wisconsin will be negatively impacted by the tariffs.
Wow. Go ahead.
And here's the thing. Of the jobs that will be impacted in Wisconsin, 77% of those people voted for which candidate?
Donald Trump.
The one who's putting the tariffs on.
Wow.
77%. 10% of jobs. And the reason for that is think about how much ag products, foresting products, paper, all the kinds of things that are made in Wisconsin get exported to Canada.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a killer. The people who won Wisconsin, who gave Donald Trump the victory in Wisconsin, he's basically saying, I don't care.
Screw you.
Yeah.
Really.
That's what he's saying.
It's astounding to me, but not all that surprising, I guess.
And why are Democrats not talking about this? Mark Pocan, if you're listening, Ben, whoever, like, start talking about it. 10% of the jobs in Wisconsin are going to be negatively impacted.
That is
8 out of 10 of those people voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah, and I think we talked to some on this show.
It's 240,000 of them.
The more that, and I'm not wishing any ill will on anybody. I don't care who they voted for. But I think the sad reality is, as some of these things take effect over time, people will start feeling it. It's just like that. We talked about this. We talked about this guy a couple of days ago, Trivia, on the show, from Milwaukee, who married a woman from Peru, and they just went for their honeymoon in Puerto Rico, and they tried to get back in the country last week, and she got taken away by ICE. And the guy said he voted for Trump,
right?
The husband. Well, suddenly now, and he's like, I didn't expect this to happen to me. But as things start affecting people, suddenly people
100%.
wake up. But I'm not wishing that on people. I just think that it's going to take more of that for this to impact them.
Well, here's the other thing. Think about this. If 10% of the jobs in the state of Wisconsin are going to be negatively impacted by the tariffs that are going to go on, NAFTA, Mexico and the EU and Canada, 10% of those jobs, think about how that echoes throughout the economy of the state of Wisconsin. And then think about this. Elon Musk and Doge, in eliminating USAID, $3 billion in excess dairy product, well, not excess egg products, including a lot of dairy, gone.
And where's our friends? Where's Scott Manley at Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce? I don't hear a lot. I don't hear a lot being talked about that.
Right, and WMC. Why are they not speaking out on this? If these were tariffs being placed by a Democratic administration, would they be speaking out? I don't know. I would assume that they would be against tariffs, period, because it's not good when 10% of the jobs in the state of Wisconsin are going to be negatively impacted by the tariffs, and WMC is staying quiet. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Then they're not a pro-business organization. They're a political extension, or they're scared, or there's something else. But then they shouldn't be manifesting themselves as we're the defenders and champions of business when we're only defenders and champions of business when it goes one way.
Where's Speaker Robin Voss? Where's Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu? Where's Joint Finance Co-Chair Howard Markline, who all claim to be pro-business and pro-agriculture, but yet I haven't heard a thing about them on this.
Or Derek Van Orton, or Scott Fitzgerald, or any of these guys, Glenn Grothman. Or what's his name? The guy up in
Tom Tiffany.
Tom Tiffany.
He wants to be governor. Toxic Tom.
He's kind of forgettable.
Not good at running for gov. Trivia's going to stick around and play What's Worse with us, involving sleeping. We'll explain on the other side, maybe a little politics as well, as the Allbaugh Show for a Wednesday on the Civic Media. Ready now.
Hey, Zommers, cut that parts of that piece talking about that and send it to me, because I'll amplify it, and I'll see if he'll amplify it.
That was
really cool.
Really.
I wrote it down, so
that was great. Thank you.
Oh.
And winning is in.
Speaking of not sleeping, Todd,
you look tired, my friend.
Your daily shot at
I am.
to get away. Milwaukee Brewers club level tickets or $100.
So
Dave, every entry gets you close.
I had hockey on Monday night.
Yes.
And I go and play. It was late game. So at 12:50, I get in the car. I look at my phone. Erica has texted me at about midnight that Chloe decided to pee pee all over my side of the bed.
Oh no! What? Has that happened before?
Yeah, every once in a while.
Gross.
So she's subsequently now kicked out of our bed again because that's what happened the last time. But Erica, obviously, all my stuff had to get cleaned up, and I don't have my chill pad that cools my side of the bed down, so I couldn't sleep last night at all. Because I like it a nice, comfortable 60 degrees.
Yeah, a chilly room.
Chilly. My side of the bed is the chilly room.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't sleep good at all. I need a nap.
Wes in Middleton says 10% of jobs directly impacted by tariffs alone. Way higher percentage will be impacted by other mega policies. I'm in healthcare. If they cut Medicaid, what happened to Eau Claire is going to be child's play. Towns like Richland Central will be losing their hospitals 100%. Unfortunately, the Democrats seem to love losing, and they are going to continue to let the Republicans control the narrative. It's disgusting. I'm close to leaving the Democratic Party.
That's 100% true. I mean, the beyond just the tariffs, but I mean, I don't understand why they're not talking about the tariffs, because the tariffs, overwhelmingly, well, I mean, those things will hit Republicans too, but the tariffs right now he's imposing that on his own voters.
Yeah. Also, if you've talked about appealing to simplistic solutions, tariffs are pretty easy to understand that they're idiotic, that they are just completely ineffective to do anything good for our country.
It gets colder.
Right.
Streets can get really slippery when that happens, so be prepared to be patient if you're on the road. Here in
Was Luke coming on, or he was
expect to
just
wake up to 1
popped
to
his head
3
in for something else?
inches of
He was just
snow.
asking about a
Farther
scheduling thing
north,
for me
like
later in the week.
Fort Miguel, they may get up to 5 inches. Winter is just not done with us yet. Meanwhile, forecasting could get harder because of cuts from the Trump
LA Tom, I
administration.
think he's
All
just saying
forecasting
that
uses
to
data
Trigvy's
from the
point that
National
he's
Weather
frustrated
Service and
that
National Oceanic
the
and Atmospheric
Democrats are not talking more about the
Meteorologist
Trigby was
Brittany
talking about
Merlot
with tariffs
explains the potential problems ahead.
or what he's talking about these cuts to Medicaid would have on particular rural communities and small hospitals. They're not pushing those narratives right now, at least not broadly.
Think about what getting rid of the Department of Education is going to do to schools.
Yeah.
Current employees say NOAA and the NWS were
Well, we didn't even get to this yet. This is from Politico, this story. Top commerce official sent a blistering email to his former colleagues on his way out the door on Sunday, warning that the Trump administration is poised to unduly enrich Elon Musk's satellite internet company with money for rural broadband, or money that was set aside for rural broadband. The technology offered by Starlink, Musk's company, is inferior, wrote Evan Feynman, who had directed the $42.5 billion broadband program from the past 3 years. So that was put in by the Infrastructure Act, I believe.
I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. This is 92.7 WMDX News.
The Packers add a receiver from the Chiefs. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Packers picking up a wide receiver and returner in free agency. He's McCole Hardman.
Yeah, the program created in the 2021 Infrastructure Law program became a source of partisan fighting last year. The campaign trails Republicans attacked the Biden administration for its slow pace. No internet expansion projects have begun using the money, although some states were close at the beginning of the year.
March Madness underway. The Wisconsin Badgers arriving in Denver last night for tomorrow afternoon's game against Montana at 12:30.
I think, but now it's going to a lot of months.
He's in trouble because he's guaranteed a lot of his stuff with stock from Tesla, and in theory,
as I've always said,
now that it's down, if it drops far enough, they could call those loans because they'd be under collateralized.
That's Wisconsin head coach Greg Gard with sports.
And Tesla's business
You can always
is
continue
tanking.
the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic
And did you
Media
see
on
Polestar's offering some Tesla drivers basically almost $20,000 in stuff?
No, I didn't see
The
that.
Switch, yeah.
They'll be gusting up to 40 miles per hour, prompting a wind advisory tonight. Early this evening, rain switches over to sleet and then to all snow. And accumulations look to be anywhere from 2 to 5 inches. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 35.
I'm planning our family vacation and need a pet sitter.
We use a house sitter from Hotel K Pet Sitting. You know, freebellyrubs.com.
Free belly rub?
Freebellyrubs.com.
Such a good website that they got, and I'm surprised it wasn't taken.
Just as it was when we left. And our dogs are happy. And the daily messages with pictures really gives us peace of mind while we're away. For house sitting, cat sitting, and dog
You guys see the
walks,
Minnesota
it's Hotel
GOP
K
senator
Pet
arrested
Sitting.
for
Reserve
trying
now
to
at
solicit sex from a
freebellyrubs.com.
16-year-old girl.
Yeah, I saw that.
I saw someone
Did
retweet
you
it.
see he's the same guy who introduced the bill making Trump derangement syndrome?
I did.
Yep.
Also, I saw somebody retweeting it. Says, awful timing. Trump already picked his cabinet.
You need the computer experts at Madison Computer Works. Every day we help home users
All right,
and
about 30
businesses keep
seconds.
their computers and networks running.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with our outstanding producer, Mr. Aaron Zommers, on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 1 o'clock. Welcome into hour number 2 of the big program. It is Wednesday, March 19th, 2025, and it is Hump Day. That's right. And it is also a great day to be a Wisconsinite here at the World Headquarters, downtown Madison. It is raining right now. A little rain outside, and can expect that to continue here in Madison. Parts of the state are already receiving snow, particularly up in Trigvy's old stomping ground up there. In the old River Falls area up there. It's a little snowy up there in Chippewa Valley. Also going to be snowy. Well, eventually all this precipitation, if it's not already, as this front moves through, is going to change to snow. So throughout the afternoon into tonight, some of Wisconsin roadways, if they're not already, will become very slickery, as they say. So do drive carefully. Allow extra time if you have to be on the roads tonight. Some places in Wisconsin could see 6, maybe 8 inches locally in terms of actual snowfall. This is going to be the wet, heavy stuff, so please don't be shoveling too much. It's unfortunately a time when a lot of folks can have heart attacks trying to move that kind of snow around. If you don't have to go anywhere, you might want to just let it sit, because we'll be back in the 50s for much of the state by the end of the week. Lots coming up in hour number 2 today. Talk about this fun story down in Milwaukee, where students are showing off underwater engineering schools at the 7th annual Sea Perch Tournament. Talk a little bit about that. That'll be fun. Also, 48 years ago today, the final curtain fell on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. 48 years ago today. We'll talk a little bit about that. Talk about our brackets as well, as the Badgers are set to take on the Montana Grizzlies on Thursday. Pre-game show starts at 11:30. The tip-off time is around 12:30. You can hear that locally on stations across the broadcast airwaves in Richland Center, Amory, and Wisconsin Rapids. Due to the NCAA and their agreement with Westwood One, we are not able to stream that on the Civic Media app, so you have to live in one of those communities. For those watching on television, I believe it's on TNT, which will be broadcast on Thursday as well. Also, what's worse coming up here in a minute, but our friend Trygve Olsen, Senior Advisor at Lincoln Project, has agreed to stick around to have a little fun with what's worse. We're going to do that in a minute, but first we're going to go out to Los Angeles, California, in L.A. Tom. Before the break, at the end of the last hour, we were talking about this article that, or this post that Mark Cuban had done, and Trygve was talking about this on the effect of tariffs, the Trump tariffs, which it looks like, according to the figures that Trygve has here, Mark Cuban, up to 10% or more of Wisconsin jobs are going to be affected negatively on this, and just talking about the messaging of why we don't hear more about this. L.A. Tom, thanks for joining us. Let's see.
Yeah, Todd, first, I want to compliment you on showing where each $100 is going to taxes, and I hope that you can do that also on the state level as much. The one question I have is how much of that tax dollars is actually going also towards tax breaks for the rich. So I would love it if you could
We'll work
do
on that. Thank you.
again, because
Sure.
I think it's a really important thing.
Mhm.
Also, please take the quiz, select a candidate quiz.
I promise I will.
I know
I promise
keep
I
on
will. I
pounding
promise
you
I will.
about it, because I want everyone to take that, because it'll show that they're voting against their best, or voting for their best interest.
Mm.
You know, what we have to think about, and this is going to be controversy, especially with you and Trigby, I think.
Oh,
but
no.
Republicans do not like we the people government. They said they want to destroy it, and their actions are showing that. Democrats like we the people government and want it to be better. If you love your job, or if you're at your job and you love the company, you're going to do really, really good for the company. If you hate your job, you're not going to do such a great job for the company. So I would say to anybody out there that's, talking about Susan Crawford and Mr. BS, hey, if you want someone that really believes in the rule of law and believes in good government, good we the people government, or do you want someone that's just basically owned completely by the special donors? It's not that the Democrats are not also in the getting money for politics to run for office. But I'm sorry, this is the Republican sandbox, and the Democrats are just playing in it. Democrats have put up many bills on a federal level to try to get money out of politics, including H.R. 1, which they were filibustered on. And, that is the clue behind this whole thing. And I really think Democrats, what I'm doing, Todd, to find solace, and I hope everyone else maybe think about this, I'm going back and I'm listening to the old FDR speeches. And I'll tell you what, that's when it was government was great. And what Democrats need to really do, and I think even people in the middle need to start doing, is saying, let's make government great again. Because government is we the people. We pay our taxes. That's what pays for the things such as the fire department and all of that. And honestly, the Republican Party, and it's been their goal for a very, very long time, has been they want to privatize things, and they don't want to have things in the public sector.
All
now,
right.
I'll tell you this: if my house is burning down, I do not want to have to make sure I call and be on an automated service and say, I hope you paid your dues so the whole neighborhood doesn't burn down, from it. But that's what the Republican Party would like to have happen, is everything to be privatized.
Stand by. Don't go anywhere. Just stand by. Stay on the line. We'll keep the line open there for LA Tom. Trivia.
I mean, I agree with him in the sense that Democrats, well, the Democrats need to start caring like Democrats, but fighting like Republicans, right? Like that. At the end of the day, that's what needs to happen. And I just think, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, if Democrats, there's a lot of people who've been sold this bill of goods that government isn't doing anything for them until they need it.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody hates lawyers until you need one, right? It's the same thing. And people like the roads they drive on. And this is an assault on government. I don't know how much of this is. I mean, it's a very it's not a sliver. It's a lot of Republicans. Republicans tend to be more skeptical of government, but the ones who are running the ship in this are these really sort of libertarian, we don't need no government, except for if I can get a big contract to install my rocket ship stuff.
Right.
Then I'm all for it.
Right. No, I agree with you, and I don't think that was particularly controversial, LA Tom. I thought you nailed a lot of great points. I think two things. A, on the messaging, I agree with Brian Schatz, the U.S. Senator from Hawaii, Democrat, who has said that Democrats need to start talking like normal people. His term, his words, not mine. which I think is absolutely true. I'll also say this, and I think most Wisconsinites loved Bob Uecker, still love Bob Uecker, the longtime Brewer announcer of 50 plus years who passed away here a couple of months ago, and Lane Grindle, his longtime co-announcer, who is now the voice of the Brewers for this season. Lane Grindle wrote a great piece about Bob Uecker and Uecker telling him the secret, or one of the secrets, to good announcing. And he said, stats are great. All these stat sheets they give us and everything. Yeah, they're great. I mean, hey man, use them. But he said, don't get confused. The game is out there. And he pointed from the announcing booth onto the field. He said, the game's out there. It's on the field. It's in the stands. In other words, if you want to paint a great picture for our audience, don't have your nose buried in the stats. Just look out there. And I think sometimes in our travels trivia around the state, I wish Democrats would spend more time out there. And I wish that they would actually see how people are living and how they, and that there's not all a bunch of hateful people that are voting for Donald Trump. They're just frustrated. And I think we have to learn that the game of politics, it's out there in the state of Wisconsin. It's not behind polls and stat sheets.
Well, not only that, I mean, there was a survey that just came. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead,
Tom.
LA.
Go ahead, Tom.
No, I absolutely agree with you. And the fact that, the people out there, I believe that it's not that they're bad people. It's honestly that they're being buffooned. They're actually being lied to, and they're actually believing it. And I wish they could come to a thing that says, I have been snookered by these people. But what the Democratic Party needs to do, get back to your FDR roots, get back to your Teddy Roosevelt roots in terms of on the Republican side, talking about conservation and talking about the beauty of this country and the national forest and things like that Teddy talked about, and FDR talking about, people getting health care for all and Social Security and unemployment and the WPA system. And he wasn't about just giving people money just to give people money. Government was the employee of last resort. And I think that, we don't have a thing right now where we have a lot of competition in business. We have monopolies.
Right.
So therefore, you do not even have, and now you have corporate capture where the corporations are bought off. But I'm telling you, the problem is, it is the conservative Supreme Court that brought us Citizens United. They brought us Buckley versus Vallejo, and they brought us First National Bank versus Bilotti. I appreciate corporations, people, and made this whole mess happen.
Up against the clock, LA. I appreciate the call. Trigvia, let's wrap it up on that, please.
I mean, I would say this. I'm just thinking as Tom's talking. The reality is the Democratic Party, much like the Republican Party is held captive by the extremes of the party. And the Democrat Party is to a degree too. And part of the reason, there was a survey that just came out that shows, most voters, even Democrats, think that the Democrats are mostly concerned with the issues of their base and not problems of average people. And until they fix that, and part of the reason why the culture wars on the right win is because Democrats are afraid to say certain things because they don't want to offend a small portion of their base that's out of step on a lot of these things. And it allows things that aren't really things, like men playing women's sports in the state of Wisconsin in high school athletics, that's not a thing, to become things.
Right. Appreciate stay tuned. Trigger and I are going to start off, but you're going to stick around and help us start off with what's worse. Not going to want to miss that. A little lighter side after this. Don't go anywhere. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show for a Wednesday on the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is
See, this is what happens. I never know what to do. So now I got people lighting up the phones. I know want to talk about this. It's like we need to move on.
They want to talk about what we were just talking about?
I guess, yeah. Media.
I guess the thing about the tariffs set them off.
I guess that was a good one. It says media isn't portraying the urgency. What this next caller wants to talk about media not portraying the urgency of what's happening right now.
Considering joining our team, go to chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more.
I don't
Streaming
disagree
TV
with
is where
that.
it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect.
800-217-9129. 800-217-9129. 800-217-9129.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. Folks, we've got to talk about Derek Van Orden, the second-term congressman representing Wisconsin.
What I said to Deb is that you're hoping to move on to another topic, so you may or may not take the call.
Who is
the other one? I didn't check yet.
Okay.
I was just saying, since you were saying you don't know what to do, I said that. Is that
Maybe
okay?
if she can make it quick. I mean, really quick.
And disrespectful as ever. In one instance, Van Orden took to social media to berate a veteran who had been fired from his job at the VA by
What do you want to do,
Musk's
Trigby? You
Department
want to just move on?
Efficiency.
Let's
and the
do
veteran
this
in
or
question
that.
is simply someone who was just
I gotta
reaching
get
out to
going
his
here in a second.
congressman
that's
looking
fine.
for answers. Van Orden's office has also hastily canceled public meetings, and he has made some especially wild accusations about people who have been attending.
My heart beats with the lonely rain, wishing I could see your face again.
Welcome back to the Civic Media Radio Network. 21 past the hour, 1 o'clock. It's a rainy day, indeed, here in Madison, Wisconsin.
I'm playing the song "Sleeping with the Radio On" by Charlie McLean.
I wish I was. I came with Nauticon, who does all of our billing, our finances here. He had a blanket wrapped. It gets chilly in this office. He had a blanket. I said, I wish I was home with a blanket and a hot cup of coffee today, or chili, or it's one of those days in Wisconsin. How's the weather out in Washington D.C., Trigby Olson?
Today is not so bad. I don't know.
Today's not so bad.
60s.
No, we had some callers on the line here and wanted to keep discussing media and that sort of thing. We'll do that after the 1:30 break if those folks want to call back. But right now at 22 past the hour, 1 o'clock, time once again for What's Worse. Here we go.
This or that, this or that. Then of course the choice is yours. You can get with this.
Time once again to play What's Worse. No prize money involved, nothing to give away, but it is your chance to have your voice heard across all 11 stations in the Civic Media News Talk Sports Network, the largest privately owned radio network in Wisconsin. No better way to have your voice, your company out there on the airwaves than Civic Media. Go to civicmedia.us to check out how to advertise with us. All right, as Mike Lucas says, timely indeed. Trigby Olson has stayed around to help us kick off this edition of What's Worse. Trigby, I've traveled with you, and usually we try not to have a report down at the lobby earlier than 9 because Trigby needs his sleep. And so today
I don't talk before 10 o'clock.
That's actually pretty accurate. He comes down to the lobby, and I know enough well by now. I just sit there reading something on my phone or the paper, and when he wants to talk, he'll talk.
My good friend Lord Ashcroft always says, you don't talk before 10 o'clock, and then you never shut up.
That's also kind of true, but in a good way. All right, here's what's worse, because especially with a day like today, sometimes some people are staying up late to watch the March Madness, and sleep can be a problem. So today's what's worse, trouble sleeping or trouble waking up. Trouble sleeping or trouble waking up. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. You can text us on the Civic Media app. What's worse, trouble sleeping or trouble waking up? I ask you, Trigby Olson.
It's a really hard one because they're both terrible.
I feel for you because you legit have like sleeping problems.
I do have a lot of sleeping problems. In fact, I'm supposed to go see a sleep person.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'll probably have to, they hook you up with the machine and whatever.
Yeah.
For
like
my
apnea?
dad and my sister, a lot of them have sleep apnea, and she's My GP doesn't think I have sleep apnea, but I might have restless leg syndrome.
My
But
mom
anyway,
has that. It's not ideal.
and I certainly have a mind that keeps me up. I think trouble waking up is probably worse for me. Only because it really bugs me when I don't get enough sleep, and then I struggle to get up.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely. 855-752-4842. We go to Cindy in beautiful Appleton, Wisconsin. Cindy, trouble sleeping or trouble waking up? What's worse?
Hey, Todd. Hey, Trigby. Trouble sleeping, because if I don't sleep well, then I have trouble getting up. So if I sleep like a log, I can get up in the morning without a problem, but not the other way around. So.
All right. Very good. Well, we thank you. I appreciate the call, Cindy. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Lots of texts coming in. We go to the phone lines again. Our friend Troy in Mount Horeb calling in. Troy, what's worse, trouble sleeping or trouble waking up?
Pretty much just like Joe said, trouble sleeping, because then I'm a bear in the morning if I don't get enough sleep. So,
right.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick, the guy with the Peruvian wife, he was in Newsweek this last week, I think, saying that he'd vote for Trump again.
Wow.
So I don't know if he just wanted to get rid of his wife or what, but
I don't know. I'm not sure. As Chris,
but he said,
what? Go ahead.
But he said in there that he was hoping that the publicity around this would get Trump to make the policy better, like Trump cares about him and his wife or something.
Incredible. All right. Thanks, Troy. I appreciate it. What's worse, waking up, sleeping, or going to sleep, or trouble waking up? According to Roger, watching on Facebook, says he's listening to WFHR. Well, in Stevens Point, it says. But he's in Stevens Point listening to WFHR. Trivy, you and I have been to WFHR, Wisconsin Rapids. He says trouble sleeping leads to trouble waking up after finally getting to sleep.
That is true.
That's pretty well said.
Well, except you can be having trouble sleeping because you're out having a lot of fun, and then you have a hard time waking up.
You can be, you could be just a high roller at the craps table and not wanting to walk away.
Now you're talking my style.
Yes, I know. I slept fine that night because I did not go to the casino that night. But Trigby came back much richer. So.
I was making money, baby. And then Curdy and I lost it all during the Bears game at his casino in Chicago. My entire profit.
855-752-4842. What's worse, trouble sleeping or trouble waking up? Christine in Slinger, listening on WAUK, says trouble sleeping is worse. Also, Tony, listening in Madison on WMDX, says trouble sleeping is much worse. John, listening on WISS in Oshkosh, says trouble sleeping for sure, as that leads to waking up the next day. Greg in beautiful Genesee Depot, listening on WAUK, says trouble sleeping is worse. I worked third shift for 32 years. I still can't sleep at night, and I hate getting up in the morning. Wow, that's incredible. All right, very good. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Ollie in the North Woods. Ollie, if you can make it quick, trouble sleeping or trouble waking up, what's worse?
Well, I have trouble sleeping, and in order to overcome the trouble waking up, I usually end up fighting it and making sure I stay awake all night if I have an early appointment.
Well, there you go. All right, very good. I appreciate the call, Ollie. Thank you so much. Trigby, I appreciate you sticking around an extra half an hour. That was fun. Got some good information out there, and
no one was on my side that trouble waking up is worse than trouble
that's
sleeping.
I'm actually with you on that. All
right, well, good. So there's a couple.
Yeah, absolutely. Trigby Olson, the senior advisor at Lincoln Project. Thanks, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep. See you guys.
All right. Thank you very much. Come on back. Right. We'll talk.
Call me offline.
And brackets on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
See you. Bye.
2.7 WMDX. Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson.
I don't know.
Leaders in
Sometimes
Pittsburgh are considering a
when
wheel
you have
tax.
trouble sleeping,
In
you're still able to
November,
wake up in the
voters
morning. You
rejected
just
a
hit the sleep cycle
$3.6
just right.
million referendum that
And
leaders
so
said was necessary to support their
for
growing
me,
city.
that
Now
is not
they're
that bad.
hoping a wheel tax
Like, you
will
can
help
make it work.
Pittsburgh's finances. When drivers submit their yearly registration, they would pay an extra $40 if they
But
live within
when you can't
Pittsburgh
wake
city
up in the
limits.
morning,
Now, they can only use that money on
that's-
transportation costs, according to the Common
it's just the
Council
worst. Like
documents.
I can
That
get
would
by
include
on a low
roads,
amount of
traffic
sleep
lights,
as long
sidewalks,
as I
paths,
wake up at the
trails,
right
things
time
like
in the
that.
sleep cycle.
Now, more
But
than 60 municipalities across
some
Wisconsin
days
have wheel taxes, including Madison
I'll
and
like
Sun
sit on the
Prairie.
couch and
Dane County
try
has
and
one
wake
as
up a
well.
little bit
So
and
if
then wake
Fitchburg's
up on the couch an
passes,
hour later
residents
and be
would
like,
pay
well, guess I'm not getting to work
$68 in
early.
wheel taxes when they renew their registration, the same as what Madison residents currently pay. Meanwhile, voters in Oregon will vote on a referendum April 1st. The city is asking for about $2 million. Leaders say they need that money to upgrade facilities, raise pay to retain staff, and hire 8 new employees in the police department, public works, and the library. On average, that referendum would raise taxes about $100 per $100,000 of property value per year. And we have a record
And yes,
high number
Cam
of
in
jobs here
Appleton
in
says
Wisconsin.
true.
Lisa
The
Hale
key to
has
make
more.
sure
The
hey,
Wisconsin
the
Department
key
of
is to make
Workforce
sure to get used to
Development,
eating
or
breakfast.
DWD,
And
has
yes,
announced a new
I
record high,
that helps a lot. Like waking up.
3,053,300
I do not
non-farm
operate
jobs in
if
the
I don't
state.
eat. I
That's according
eat
to
more than 3
January's
meals a day. I
preliminary
do more
estimates from
meals
the
that are
U.S.
smaller
Bureau of Labor Statistics.
because if I'm not
Preliminary
eating throughout the
employment
day, I'll
estimates
just
for
get so
January
tired.
showed
And
Wisconsin's
so that
seasonally
definitely helps
adjusted
me wake up.
unemployment rate
Eating breakfast
ticked
right
up
away.
to 3.2%, which is still 0.8 percentage points below the national unemployment rate of 4%.
That's Lisa Hale reporting. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.
Don't worry, Todd. I was just spreading rumors about you.
Fantastic. They're probably all true.
No, I was just agreeing with Pam that breakfast is so helpful in waking up.
Bill
Yeah, I
watching,
saw that.
Bill watching on YouTube. He's not picking his nose. I don't think. I think he usually has chewing.
Yeah, it's some dip.
Ping pong player,
He's
and
got
Paltrow his love
dip
interest. Throughout the interview, Paltrow tries to make ping pong sound sexy, like Chalamet's character learned on the streets. Gwyneth made a point to say there was no intimacy coordinator on the set and that they handled the love scenes themselves. Sources have not confirmed or denied that to enhance the mood on the set, Paltrow lit a whole mess of scented candles she used to sell that supposedly smelled like her private parts. Google it. It's real. Timothy Chalamet
You want me to
has
start
also
with
prepared
Mary
to
Tyler
launch a
Moore?
personal product of his own. It's a mustache
Or
comb
save
called
that.
One Day I Might Need This. Marty Supreme will be released Christmas Day of 2025.
It's a Whistler for what's
Tune in
worse.
to Nightlight with me,
Yeah.
Pete
All right.
Schwaba.
We'll
Weeknights
do,
from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
We'll do what's worse. And then we'll do that. Then we'll do the song. See, come in with
Your
whatever.
local Civic Media radio station. Want
You know
hear
what?
even more?
Forget it. Just come in with the Mary Tyler
Find
Moore
all of
song.
it at civicmedia.us.
See, folks, this is how indecisive I can be
Temperatures topping 40
sometimes.
degrees and winds whipping. They'll be gusting up to 40 miles per hour, prompting a wind advisory tonight. Early this evening, rain switches over to sleet and then to all snow. And accumulations look to be anywhere from 2 to 5 inches. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlau. Right now, it's 35.
I will say on sleeping versus
The
waking
John
up,
and
when
Gordon
I was
Show.
younger
Good morning, Joe.
and I was
Hi,
growing
again,
really
guys.
fast,
It's
I
always
could
good
not
to know,
sleep for the life
what
of me
kind of
because my
news,
legs, I would have
political,
growing pains like every
going
night
on.
and I'd just be tossing and turning literally constantly. And then I'd go and sleep on the floor and lay there for like 2 hours and finally fall asleep.
That sucks.
Isn't that shocking?
Cam says I cannot stress enough how much getting a good breakfast makes it work fine.
Weekday mornings,
Yes,
6
good
till
breakfast
It
for all
helps
your
so
people.
much with waking up.
2.7 WMDX.
Even if it's
and
not
the
a good
Civic
breakfast,
Media
even
app.
if it's just cereal, for me,
Something.
eating something helps me wake up.
Little something, something.
He is even intervening right here in the state of Wisconsin.
Republican Rep. Brian Stiles
About 30
in a statement
seconds.
that Sanders was on a
Okey-doke.
fear-mongering
a nothing day and suddenly make it all seem worthwhile. Well, it's you, girl, and you should know it. With each glance and every little movement you show it. Love is all around, no need to waste it. You can have the time, why don't you take it? You're gonna make it after all.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 35 minutes past the hour of 1 o'clock. The theme, the iconic theme from the Mary Tyler... Boy, I talk for a living. From the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Going to tell you why that's important on this historical day. By the way, it's Women's History Month. And in all seriousness, the Mary Tyler Moore Show went a long way to advancing, or at least bringing awareness, I should say at least, to women's rights. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But first of all, going to wrap up what's worse. And we were asking there before the break, what's worse, trouble sleeping or trouble waking up? Let's go to the phone line, 855-752-4842. Whistler out in Richland Center on WRCE. Whistler, getting to sleep or trouble waking up? What's worse? Are you there, Whistler? Go ahead.
My clock runs 24 hours, Todd. So it's like, as long as I get 8 hours in that 24, I'm good.
Very good. Very good. All right. We appreciate it. Thank you so very much, Whistler. I appreciate you calling in. Yeah, just to wrap, I mean, Zommers, you go first. What's worse?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely trouble waking up. Because yes, trouble sleeping can lead to trouble waking up, but sometimes you just get a couple of sleep cycles in and wake up at the right morning and you're able to go, even though you only got, 4 hours of sleep.
I agree with you and Trigby. For me personally, it's trouble waking up is worse. I usually, I've talked briefly about this before on the show, I normally don't have trouble going to sleep. In fact, people who know me well know that I can be borderline narcoleptic.
For me, that used to be really bad. I missed classes in college because I sat on a couch in the same building as the classroom and just fell asleep. And then woke up after class. I'm like, again?
It's more like I'd come home at night or whatever. I sit down and boom, I'm just out. So if I'm having trouble sleeping, which believe me, the last year or so that has happened. If I'm having trouble going to sleep, there is something wrong with me, either physically or mentally, or both. But usually I can go to sleep pretty well, but it's getting up, which I'm a light oriented person. So especially when you turn the clocks forward, like we have, it's darker in the morning. It's harder to get up. But then I worked sign-on shifts in radio for a while, and it's as Zomer said, kind of once you get used to it, you get into the routine. Well, then it's not so bad. But definitely for me, at least, waking up is much worse. So I appreciate everybody who called in. I got one more here. We got Jack in Merrimack, 855-752-4842. Jack in Merrimack. Jack, trouble sleeping or trouble waking up? What's worse?
Oh, definitely trouble sleeping. When you have trouble sleeping, you A, have trouble waking up, and B, are usually pretty grouchy, too.
Yes, that's true.
So I think that is worse for both reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thanks, Jack. I appreciate you checking in. Have a great day there.
So it seems like we are in the minority on this one.
We are in the minority this time. Most people are saying trouble sleeping is worse. From Zommers and I and Trigby, it's waking up. All right. 38 minutes now past the hour, 1 o'clock. On the lighter side today, and our friend Jay Matnair on Air and Greg were talking about this, kind of like this. A few days ago, they were talking about TV shows that you miss being on the air. And I found this today as I was going through some things that it was 48 years ago to the day, March 19th, 1977, the groundbreaking sitcom The Mary Tyler Moore Show aired its final episode on CBS, closing a chapter on one of television's most influential comedies. The series finale, titled The Last Show, drew, get this, over 30 million viewers, cementing its legacy as a cultural touchstone that redefined workplace humor and female representation on the small screen. As of March 19th, 2025, the anniversary serves as a reminder of the show's enduring impact still felt in modern TV and celebrated by fans old and new. Launched on September 19th, 1970, the Mary Tyler Moore Show followed the stories of Mary Richards, played, of course, by Mary Tyler Moore, a single, career-driven woman navigating life as an associate producer at Minneapolis's fictional WJM TV newsroom. Over 7 seasons and 168 episodes, the series, created by James L. Brooks and Alan Burns, broke ground with its sharp writing, ensemble cast, and portrayal of an independent woman thriving outside traditional domestic roles. Alongside Moore, stars like Ed Asner, who played Lou Grant, and that became a spin-off later on, a slightly different, it was a more serious version. Valerie Harper played Rhoda, and the great late Ted Knight played iconic newsman Ted Baxter and turned the newsroom into a comedic goldmine, earned 29 Emmy Awards, including 3 for Outstanding Comedy Series. The finale aired on a Saturday night 48 years ago tonight and saw the WJM crew facing a bittersweet end as all but Ted were fired after a new station manager took over, only for Mary to deliver a tearful, iconic farewell speech. The episode's blend of humor and heart capped by the cast's group hug and a rendition of It's a Long Way to Tipperary left viewers misty-eyed. It was a great ending. It was a great wrap-up to a great series. What are your thoughts on Mary Tyler Moore's show? And I'll ask it a different way. Are there any iconic TV programs that featured women as we are in Women's History Month? I think television, entertainment over the years has done a great job in some cases, of highlighting women. Think about this. In 1970, I was 1 year old. I don't remember 1970, as it turns out. But I was alive, just barely. And it was not normal to highlight a single career-driven woman. I mean, back in 1970, women were still, the expectation was you would marry, you would have children, you would be what was called at the time a homemaker. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. That is a job, by the way, being a mother and a homemaker. But the thought of a single woman not particularly wanting a husband and focusing on her professional career outside the home was not popular. And Mary Tyler Moore did a lot to change cultural opinions on that. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. What are your thoughts on the Mary Tyler Moore Show on this significant anniversary and overall women in television and the programs that talked about it? Cindy in Appleton. Cindy, thanks for calling back. What are your thoughts on the Mary Tyler Moore Show?
Well, I have 2 things. First of all, I thought Mary Tyler Moore Show was great. I watched it a lot when I was a kid, and maybe that's why I lean a little to the left more these days, because, she has a lot of good messages for women. Mm-hmm. And I also met personally Ed Asner. I have a picture with him sitting on a couch at a house that the Progressive brought him in one night for a fundraising event for their magazine. And so I got a picture with Ed, and he was a very staunch Democrat, and so was his daughter.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
What was he like when you met him?
And the other show, he's an awesome man. And actually, I can't remember how old he was at the time, but he's still sharp as a tack.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But he was funny and had a great sense of humor, personality. He was a really awesome man. But anyway, and the other one I kind of miss is, believe it or not, I know it's not, this is a more of a man-tailored show, but Mayberry RFD, because every one of those shows had a little lesson in it that, Obie would learn. And, of course, the iconic woman in that show was Aunt Bee. So that's another one.
And so it was the Andy Griffith Show, which then later turned into Mayberry RFD. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's great. Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate the call. Thank you so very much. 855-752-4842. What are your thoughts on this anniversary, the 48 years ago today, the finale for the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and also women in television, or television shows that celebrated and broke barriers for women? Let's go to Brian in Milwaukee, listening on WAUK. Brian, thanks for calling. What say you?
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of Mary Tyler Moore ever since she was, on Dick Van Dyke, and then, had her own show. But one other woman that I don't think we can ever forget is Lucille Ball. With I Love Lucy, and then she did Here's Lucy and the Lucy Show. I think she did like 4 spinoffs, and they kept having her kids involved too.
Yeah.
And one thing I don't think that people know is Star Trek wouldn't be around if it wasn't for Lucille Ball, because originally CBS did not want to do Star Trek, and she fought for that show.
Yeah.
At Desilu Studios, and now we have Star Trek. So I mean, she's a pioneer in television, and as Billy was at the Kennedy Center Honors, that they were doing a tribute to her, and Desi said, we were all just props to the show, and she did 90% of it because it all came from her. And I Love Lucy was more than just the title.
Brian, I appreciate you not only talking about Lucille Ball, but her involvement in Star Trek and getting that greenlit. And of course, it was Nicole Nicholas who ended up being the first black woman on a regular television show to kiss a white actor, and the first interracial kiss on television. And that was enormously groundbreaking at the time on Star Trek.
Yeah.
Appreciate the call, Brian. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she was I think on I Love Lucy when they had Ricky, that was live on TV too.
Yeah.
That was real.
Absolutely. I appreciate the call, Brian. Thank you so much. 855-752-4842. Thoughts on Mary Tyler Moore, their finale, which was 48 years ago today on CBS, and overall television shows that have helped propel and break barriers for women. Let's go to Dick listening on WMDX in Madison. Dick, thanks for calling. What say you?
One of the greatest taglines, too, from Ed Asner. You got grit. Right. And he goes, I hate grit. That was, and it spawned so many other shows with women that, I kind of even see it in Murphy Brown later years. And then with the radio version of it, how about WKRP?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was short-lived, but it was a great show.
Yeah. And of course,
Really was.
Lonnie Anderson played kind of the buxom blonde, but usually the joke was on the males who were doing inappropriate things or whatever. So it was them being the joke, not Lonnie Anderson. She was always, it made it look like, oh, here's this kind of blonde-haired woman that doesn't know anything, but usually she got the best of the guys.
Yeah, and I love that. The news guy, Les Nessman, is saying, more news, Les Nessman.
Well, he was the winner of the Buckeye News Award, so there was that.
Yes.
Thanks.
If only he would have known that turkeys couldn't fly, right?
Exactly. Thanks, Dick. I appreciate it. 855-752-4842. Carolyn texting in on WAUK from Heartland, and she also said Murphy Brown. So, I mean, that's a show that I rarely have ever missed. And it's so hard to find it now because they didn't really have a theme song to Murphy Brown. They would pick a lot of because in the show, Candace Bergen's character, Murphy Brown, a single newswoman at the time, and later went on to have a child. And she used Motown music, a lot of Aretha Franklin and other things to intro. It was a revolving show theme. And because of the rights and all that music now, you really can't find it anywhere. You have to have it on DVD or whatever. But yeah, Murphy Brown was great. Also, Troy listening in Mount Horeb, WMDX says, Maude. Who doesn't like Maude? Absolutely, you're right. That was a spinoff from All in the Family as well, another Norman Lear production. Mark and Perdisac, Ally McNeil was pretty good as well. Very good on that. What else do we have here? Chris Casper and Madison are one of our engineers. Another great tagline from WKRP. As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly. We've played that cut before on our Thanksgiving show. Tom in LA Tom, Carol Burnett show. Absolutely. That was fantastic. And also reminding us that Betty White and Gavin McLeod, yes, Captain Steubing, got one of his big starts on the Mary Tyler Moore show as well. So lots of iconic, the Golden Girls. There's a late vote for Brian in Milwaukee for the Golden Girls.
Thank you for being a friend.
Absolutely. 48 years ago today, Mary Tyler Moore signed off the air, but her legacy lives on. Back after this is the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're gonna make it after all.
It's an MTM production.
Sure is.
WMDX.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. Washington State implemented their
Got a fun
universal
fact
vote
from
by
Roger.
mail system
The
in
last episode of the Mary
2013
Tyler Moore
and
Show
built
actually
in
aired on
signature matching
CBC
for
in Canada
identity
the night
verification.
before. It
A
aired
March
on
ruling by
CBS.
the state
That's
Supreme Court
fantastic
upholds that
info,
rule
Roger.
as
We'll use that when we come
constitutional
back.
because voters can cure
That happened
discrepancies.
nowadays,
Yeah.
there would be
For the
so many spoilers
2022
everywhere.
midterms,
Yep.
the state-commissioned
Oh
audit
my gosh,
found that
yes.
younger voters, voters of color, and non-English speakers were far more likely to have their ballots rejected, and the rate of rejection varied by county. 2 recent lawsuits challenged the signature matching rule, claiming that the lack of handwriting standards and the inconsistent science for signature verification resulted in the rejection of 4,500 Hispanic ballots in the 2020 primary and 36,000 ballots from all voters in the 2022 midterms. In the court's recent opinion, Justice Stephen C. Gonzalez acknowledged those rejections. All too many ballots are not counted because election workers cannot verify the voter's signatures and the voter does not or cannot cure their ballot in time. But the court found no bias, evidence of partisan malfeasance, or that voters were intentionally blocked from voting. It also found counties offered opportunities to cure those ballots. The state's auditor recommended more training for county
once
election
cured a
officials,
ballot by giving it
outreach
chicken
to the
soup.
most affected voter groups to prevent discrepancies, and more valuable advice for any state verifying signatures.
I wish that music. Jeff Perry has to have that on a VHS tape somewhere, and we're gonna download.
We're gonna digitize that
Yes,
VHS.
we
Led
absolutely
by
are.
certified trainers. Classes are designed to help you and your furry friend learn new skills.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. It is 9 before the hour of 2 o'clock. At the top of the hour, CBS or ABC News, depending upon which of our great stations you're listening to across the Civic Media Radio Network, followed by a check of news in your local community. Our great sports reporter, Mike Clemens. Mike Clemens was on Pete Schwaba's show last night and was fantastic as always. It was just a great, it was entertaining and informative to listen to Mike and Pete last night. So enjoyed that. So Mike Clemens will be in our weather forecast. Don't forget wet weather moving across Wisconsin today. Some places already receiving snow. And as the afternoon and evening goes on, some places could have 6 to 8 inches, say around the Chippewa Falls area, and then south of Madison, south and east of Madison. In the middle part of the state, maybe 4 inches or so. It's just, it depends on temperatures and how fast it all changes over. But in any event, it's going to be wet, it's going to be slickery, and travel could get hazardous. So be aware of that. Temperatures will warm back to around 50 by the end of the week. So the snow will not last too long. That is great. And then after that, we got the Maggie Dawn Show from 2 until 4. Dom Selvia, 4 till 6. Pete Schwaba, as we said, 6 until 8. Now, talk to me about this, Zommers, because I thought after Schwaba's show, it was Rick Smith. And then last night, it was a Native Roots Radio came on right after. Is that normally the... Have I been saying it wrong? The schedule's changed, or do we know?
I'm gonna look at that because I don't know.
I just want to make sure I'm saying it right. You understand? Anyway, if at some point you'll hear Rick Smith Across America and Native Roots Radio with our friend Robert Pilot, both great shows. I just want to make sure that I'm plugging them in the right way. Very quickly, we are maybe one more call on the Mary Tyler Moore Show and TV programs that help propel women or their causes. Ollie calling from the North Woods. Ollie, did you have a particular show you wanted to vote for?
Well, I actually liked Mama's Family, which is a spin-off of Kira Burnett.
Yes.
But I just wanted to suggest that since you are sort of tipping a hat to Mary Tyler Moore today, that when you leave today, you and your buddy there can also toss your hats in the air.
If only I had, exactly, I would. I don't have a hat with me right now. It's in my office.
Oh, well.
I have a baseball cap, but maybe I'll throw the papers today.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Ollie. I appreciate it. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Now, this is real-time information. This is fantastic. Our Casper, one of our engineers, says nothing has changed. It's Native Roots Radio and then the Rick Smith Show. All right. I'm not sure what happened. I always thought Rick Smith came on first and then I don't know. I really should go to the meetings more often. All right, we have to get this a couple of things in quickly while Zommers is taking a call here. According to CBS 58 in Milwaukee, this is great. Kids from all over the region came to Milwaukee yesterday for a big engineering tournament in a swimming pool. More than 160 middle school and high school students are competing in teams showing off their underwater engineering skills. The Navy League's 7th annual Sea Perch Tournament brought students from Illinois and Wisconsin to the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee's campus. It says, quote, practical applications, getting out of the classroom, and who doesn't want to play with water, said Eric Allbaugh, president of the Milwaukee Navy League. Teams are competing with remotely operated vehicles to complete tasks underwater, such as opening a hatch, taking off an octopus, and putting fish into a basket. They get basic skills, a basic skills kit, plus they can use $25 in additional parts of their choice. Usually 3D printed parts are the big ones that they use it for. Each team has to do 3 things. 1, earn points in the main mission course. 2, move through rings in an obstacle course. And finally, give a presentation to professional engineers. Well, how about that? The top 4 teams from the competition will advance to the international tournament in Maryland this May. The Sea Perch, it doesn't involve live perch, I don't believe, but these engineering skills, and by golly, we need more engineers in the state of Wisconsin.
That is really cool.
Isn't it cool? I think it's great. And finally, a story about cougars. Cougars have been... Nicely done. Cougars have been on the endangered species list for 51 years, but they're slowly making a comeback. Lone male cougars have been seen in Wisconsin for the past 20 years, but last week in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, cougar cubs were confirmed by wildlife experts. It's the first evidence of the keystone species returning to the area in over 100 years. If you want the full story, this is real, go to www.goodgoodgood.co. Never heard of that?
Interesting website. I've never heard of
I know.
that.
I clicked on it, make sure it's real, and it's real. It's called Real Good News, not just Feel Good News. So there you go. Goodgoodgood.co. And you can learn more information and all about it. That's great. The cougars are making a comeback.
I never knew they were gone. Well, wait, the animal. Yeah, no, it's great that they're making a comeback.
Back in my college days on Water Street in Platteville, there were a few that prowled the streets. but otherwise, no, there's truly a comeback. All right, well, that was a fun show today, Mr. Sommers. How about that?
Indeed, and I really appreciated learning that Lucille Ball was a big part of bringing Star Trek. I didn't know that. I already had a ton of respect for her, but now even more.
She was really a groundbreaker in Hollywood in so very many ways. We'll get to the brackets tomorrow. Again, another first 4 set of games are coming up tonight, and then the tournament gets underway in earnest tomorrow. I'll share my bracket with you tomorrow. How about? It's already set. There, you can see it's already done. So there's no cheating on Todd's part. And see what your brackets look like as well. I think Luke Mathers is going to join us tomorrow as well. And come on back. Stay tuned for Maggie Dawn next. By the way, thank you to Trigby Olson and Zommers and all of you for listening. Wherever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up. Keep banging your drum. See you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.
Keep banging on your drum, and they will hear you.
All right. Muchas gracias, everybody. We appreciate you. Have a wonderful afternoon. Be careful out there. See you later.
Adios.